Hi folks, it's Sunday the 13th of October 2024. I'm about to leave Greece. I'm still filming for my documentary on the history of Western astrology. This video is not going to have a big thumbnail, it's not going to have lots of nice effects because we're doing it on the road, and also the subject matter is quite basic. This is stuff that's particularly relevant to the next 48 hours. As I speak, the Sun is about to oppose Chiron. This will happen within the next 24 hours. When I see the Sun opposite Chiron in a birth chart, it is often connected with issues of at least neglect and or isolation, and sometimes a lot worse than that, with issues around abandonment, either by one or both of the parents, or the person feeling neglected, isolated, and abandoned by the world. It can lead, in a worst case scenario, to self-sabotage, self-sacrifice, feeling that oneself is the victim and the martyr. Although the positive side of the same thing does give the potential for a much more integrated, assimilated, and holistic way of looking at not only the world, but one's role and one's self-position in the world. But with the Sun opposite Chiron by transit today, it does suggest that there's a capacity now for a lot of people in the world to be finding someone else to blame for their stories and their predicaments. Now, the Sun opposes Chiron about every 372 days on average. Okay, so this is something that happens just over every year. But the Sun is also square Mars, and this is going to be exact in the next 48 hours. Sun square Mars is a really difficult aspect. It creates irritation, impatience, volatility, frustration. When I'm trying to find something positive to say about it, I talk about people being projective and assertive, as opposed to confrontational and aggressive. But it can lead to one's mouth or one's anger running away with oneself. So it can lead to accidents and bumps and bangs and bruises and broken bones. It can also lead to people saying and doing things they later regret, born of short-term frustration, impatience, and irritability. It's even more complicated because Mars in the sky is also squaring Chiron very strongly, less than 1 degree, and this will also become exact in the next 24 to 48 hours. And people born with Mars Chiron are experts at self-sabotage, but not so much at the psychological, emotional, or mental level, more at the physical level. Often these people damage their heels, their ankles, their legs, they have mobility problems because they just jump in where angels fear to tread. So the Sun is square Mars, Chiron is square Mars, the Sun is opposite Chiron, and all of this is exact, or near on exact. All of this is happening in less than 1 degree of orb, and it's only going to get stronger in the next 24 hours. So it'd be really easy for people, not just people, but groups, collectives, nation states. It'd be really easy for sudden knee-jerk reactions, for things to blow up out of proportion, for short, sharp words which could actually be quite dangerous and detrimental. At a more neutral perspective, this is a time where sane and wise heads are going to be looking at what's going on around them and seeing through the veneer of spontaneity and irritation, and looking at what's really happening, looking at the way that we both individually and collectively self-sabotage ourselves, shoot ourselves in the foot, and sometimes deny ourselves our true strengths. I don't deserve it, I'm not good enough. I'm going to blame someone else for the fact that I'm not successful. There is a positive way of manifesting this. For those of us who are intelligent enough, and I'm not saying that I'm one of you, but for those people who are intelligent enough to see things in a more integrated, assimilated, and holistic way, to recognize the patterns of human behavior and to see the potential for short, sharp, knee-jerk reactions when actually what's needed isn't so much patience and cool heads as more assertive and projective action where things are yes, no, as opposed to yes, no. So the opportunity now for individuals to make decisions and actions in a way that's calm, collected, incisive and direct, without causing harm or opposition from other people. If you're astute enough and wise enough to be able to take those type of actions and decisions now and act in a way that is incisive, you're going to get some very good results. This is a time for clear, concise action. It is not really a good time for group cooperation. It is not a time where you're going to be able to sit down with other people and say, okay, let's find a compromise. How do we want this to be? It is much more a time for individual action. So in the idea of working in a collective, the idea of people going, okay, so we're going to do this, that's my part over there. I'm going to take responsibility for that part of it, and then we can put it all together. And a collective effort is a sum of all the individual parts. So individual action at this time in a cool, calm and collected way that is incisive, that then contributes to a greater whole, where the synergy and the holistic side of stuff says that 2 and 2 equals 5. That is the positive way of manifesting this energy. But be careful, because the next 24 to 48 hours is a time of short, sharp, incisive action, which could so easily go wrong and so easily screw up. So in the world, I'm concerned around the militaristic way the world is at the moment. I'm not going to go into specifics here, but collectively, everyone, hold your breath, think good thoughts, and deliberately choose not to let your buttons get pushed. The idea of being human at this time is to act in an intelligent, mature, and adult way. Please